Welcome back, warrior. Guess what? We have been reading the Book of Mormon for 44 weeks. Isn't that crazy? Or maybe this is the 44th week. I can't remember, but it's a lot. Don't you just love, like, sometimes you can look back and think that you haven't done anything productive with your life. And that's obviously something Satan says to us. But then later, the Lord tries to help you understand, like, hey, you've been doing this for 44 weeks. We've been reading the Book of Mormon for 44 weeks. Isn't that amazing? Or this is the 44. I should probably confirm this, but it doesn't matter. 43 weeks, 44 weeks, it's still awesome. And that means we've been reading for so long and we don't have very much left. Also kind of makes me wig out about Christmas, but it's fine. And what's really awesome is we've been reading the Book of Mormon, maybe not every day, be consistent every day, but we have been doing it consistently every week. And that's what's important. I think sometimes we focus too much on the like every little intricacy and like, oh, we missed a day or two, but it's okay. As long as we're still on track and we're still aiming towards where we're going, that's what's important. So we're on Mormon chapter 1. A lot of stuff happened this past weekend. Luckily, I was able to catch up, and I could have read in advance, but we had so many things that were going on. We did for our food truck, we had a spectacular, and we actually sold 50 hot cocos and 16 shave ices in 2 hours, and that was awesome and crazy at the same time. And then we had a birthday celebration. We had kids soccer games. There were the last soccer games of the season. We also had to DJ and set up equipment for multi-stake dance for youth between the ages of 14 and 18, which was, by the way, so fun. I highly recommend it. I would basically put the music on. My husband was reading through all the lyrics to make sure the songs that were requested could be played. And let me just tell you, sadly, a lot of the songs could not be played. But that's okay. That's how I was. When I was a youth, like, I listened to things that my parents would not approve of, or Jesus would not approve of. But as you grow, you learn, right? So it's like, I think it, like, just when you're a youth, like, everything sounds so cool, right? Like, all those songs sound awesome. And I agree, and as a DJ, I love it when everybody wants the same song and it's like the best song and everybody's like, yeah, so I love that. But at the same time, I have a rule. It's like, I don't play things out of my speakers that I wouldn't say myself. And so, I mean, there's some borderline items that I still use because there's innuendos and things, but for the most part, we're really clean and try to avoid all questionable things, even innuendos. And anyways, we don't need to get into all that. But anyway, that was fun. And then I was teaching a lesson in Relief Society. And then after that, we had a farewell for one of our neighbors. And then after that, we had another birthday celebration. And then after that, we had another birthday celebration an hour away. And then we could breathe. And now we're here. And we love this little lull of time. But anyway, so Mormon chapter 1. So maybe that's how your weekend was, and so you can relate. But just wanted you to know about that. Because sometimes you just need people to, like, relate to your super busy life, right? 1 second. Okay, so let's get going. Says, we need these. Oh, you know what? I do want to talk about my lesson, but we'll talk about it after this because I want to make sure I read. But I'll do like a separate one. But it was a talk on Elder Gerard's integrity, or it was a lesson on Elder Gerard's talk on integrity a Christ-like attribute from the April 2024 General Conference. And I made it all Halloweeny and stuff. So look for it after this. And I'll just do like its own post so that it stands by itself. Okay, anyway. Amram instructs Mormon concerning the sacred records. War commences between the Nephites and the Lamanites. The three Nephites are taken away. Wickedness, unbelief, sorceries, and witchcraft prevail. No, we got to let God prevail. That's what we know, right? Okay, here we go. So in this chapter, I have this little insert. Remember that? From the Redhead Hostess. So it says, written by Mormon, covering approximately 100 years. Mormon is given responsibility for the sacred plates when he was 10 years old. Isn't that wild? Would you trust your child with a big memory book, giant plates, and who knows what else was included in all that? Definitely not. Definitely not. I mean, he does know how to clean the bathroom, which is very important. I do send my kids to do responsible things, I promise. But I definitely don't think that that would have been one of the responsibilities, like the big scrapbook things. Anyways, at 16 years old, Mormon was appointed the leader of the Nephite army. That's because Mormon is legit. He's an amazing guy. Mormon preaches, leads army, quits army, leads them again, but the people refuse to be humbled and are destroyed. Prophecies about the Lamanites and promises about the Book of Mormon. So that's what we have in the Book of Mormon here. Okay? In the Book of Mormon. Right? Okay. So now it's Mormon's turn to record the events in the day that he lived. Mormon will write the first 7 chapters in this book, and then his son Moroni will add 2 more chapters, add an abridgment of the Book of Ether, and then complete the record with his own book. Mormon knew who he was addressing. He was not addressing his own people, for they were to be destroyed. He was addressing the future Lamanite descendants and those who would live in the last days, aka us. In verse 1, he is telling us that he will record what he has seen and heard, and the things he had witnessed were terrible things, which is sad as a child, right? Oh man, like I said, it's so crazy. I always picture these kids writing and leading armies and doing all these things, and I'm just like, first of all, I don't give my kids enough responsibilities. I am sure of it. But also, it's sad that they had to do that and not enjoy being a kid longer. You know, we have the whole hashtag 18 summers and all these things, hashtag 18 fall breaks and all the things, you know, for school and trying to take advantage of when your kids are with you. But like, they didn't have that stuff, you know. We're so entitled. It's the worst. Okay, Mormon can now tell us how bad a civilization can become after they choose rebellion over God. Okay, so verse 1. And now I, Mormon, make a record of the things which I have both seen and heard, and call it the Book of Mormon. Ooh, do you feel the heaviness? Okay, let's see if I can get through it without crying. Okay, and about the time that Amram hid up the records unto the Lord, he came unto me, I being about 10 years of age, and I began to be, why does he say about 10 years of age? Like, was he 9? Like, did they not celebrate their birthdays with like cake, balloons, presents? You know, we have it so good these days, and we just don't even know. Like, we just celebrated 2 birthdays this past weekend, one of which was my son's, and he just turned 11. But like, how does he not know how old he is? That's concerning, you know, poor Mormon. Like, I don't know. I was probably 10 years of age. Maybe he's writing this in the past, but still. I being about 10 years of age. And I began to be learned somewhat after the manner of the learning of my people. And Amram said unto me, I perceive that thou art a sober child, meaning calm. And our middle child is definitely sober like that. And so I'm just picturing him when I'm reading this, and it's kind of hitting home, you know? And if you don't have a child this age or someone that's like this, you can think of a neighbor child. I can also think of someone whom I love, who's like this as well. And I think he's 17 right now. No, 16. Man, I'm the worst, right? But anyway, I can't keep ages straight. Anyways, and art quick to observe. So he's a sober child and super quick to observe. And which you need that in someone who's a leader and who is going to take over a lot of things, right? So quick to observe. There's a talk or a BYU devotional by Elder Bednar called Quick to Observe in May 10th of 2005. So go look that up. It's really good. Okay, verse 3. Therefore, when ye are about 20 and 4 years old, I would that ye should remember the things that ye have observed concerning this people. And when ye are of that age, go to the land Antem, unto a hill, which shall be called Shim. And there have I deposited unto the Lord all the sacred engravings concerning this people. Oh, okay. So he's just giving him an assignment. Telling this kid, wow. And behold, ye shall take the plates of Nephi unto yourself, and the remainder shall ye leave in the place where they are. Everyone quickly looking for those plates right now. And ye shall engrave on the plates of Nephi all the things that ye have observed concerning this people. And I, Mormon, being a descendant of Nephi, and my father's name was Mormon, I remembered the things which Amaron commanded me. Because he's an awesome youth, you know. And it came to pass that I being 11 years old, was carried by my father into the land southward, even to the land of Zarahemla. And the whole face of the land had become covered with buildings, and the people were as numerous almost as it were the sand of the sea. And it came to pass in this year, there began to be a war between the Nephites, who consisted of the Nephites and the Jacobites and the Josephites and the Zoramites. And this war was between the Nephites and the Lamanites and the Lemuelites and the Ishmaelites. Now the Lamanites and the Lemuelites and the Ishmaelites were called Lamanites, and the two parties were Nephites and Lamanites. And it came to pass that the war began to be among them in the borders of Zarahemla by the waters of Sidon. And it came to pass... Okay, so that now Mormon is the next record keeper, right? We're here at, he's witnessing war. And it came to pass that the war began to be in the borders of Zarahemla by the waters of Sidon. And it came to pass that the Nephites had gathered together a great number of men, even to exceed the number of 30,000. And it came to pass that they did have in this same year a number of battles in which the Nephites did beat the Lamanites and did slay many of them. So they had war. But then, verse 12, and it came to pass that the Lamanites withdrew their design, and there was peace settled in the land, and peace did remain for the space of about 4 years, that there was no bloodshed. But then, verse 13, but wickedness did prevail upon the face of the whole land, insomuch that the Lord did take away his beloved disciples, and the work of miracles and of healing, and did cease because the iniquity of the people. And there were no gifts from the Lord, and the Holy Ghost did not come upon any. That sucks. Because of their wickedness and unbelief. How would that even be? You know? The Holy Ghost did not come upon any. That's major. You know? Like you just get chills thinking about how a people could not have the Holy Ghost. Verse 15, and I being 15 years of age, and being somewhat of a sober mind, therefore I was visited of the Lord, and tasted and knew of the goodness of Jesus. And I did endeavor to preach unto this people, but my mouth was shut, and I was forbidden that I should preach unto them. For behold, they had willfully rebelled against their God, and the beloved disciples were taken away out of the land because of their iniquity. And I did remain among them, but I was forbidden to preach unto them because of the hardness of their hearts. And because of the hardness of their hearts, the land was cursed for their sake. So, he wanted to preach to them, but he couldn't, because the Lord wouldn't let him. And why? Probably because they would kill him. you know, he's so little and wants to talk about Jesus. Like they would have totally killed him. And then his job of like being a record keeper would have gone out the window, right? So the Lord's trying to protect him. And I love that there's a time and a season, you know. There's a time for us to preach and to do those things. And then there's times when we don't need to do that, and the Lord will stop us from doing that. And I think that I can appreciate that, because sometimes I feel really bad that I can't go out and like minister to my sisters the way I really want to, you know, like my mom. She's such a good minister. She has so much time that she can like take them out to lunch, go do all these things and go to events with them and little get-togethers. And I'm just like, she's an amazing minister. And I'm like, I'm over here texting my sister, dropping her off a thing and saying, hopefully I'll see her, you know, next month. And maybe we can go to lunch, you know, hopefully. But like, she's like so good. And I know that we can't compare ourselves in different stages of life and different people, but like, it makes sense that there are times in our lives, and we need to be patient with ourselves, where we will have more time to do different things, and then where we will not have time to do the things that we want. And it was what my abuelita always said. She said, el espíritu quiere, pero el cuerpo no puede. Or el espíritu quiere lo que el cuerpo no puede. And it just basically means like your spirit wants to do things, but your body can't handle it. And it's true. And I think she applied it to like being old, but I think that I could also apply it to just, you know, just limitations in general. So anyways, and then verse 17, but I did remain among them, but I was forbidden. Okay, I already read that. So verse 18, and these Gadians and robbers who were among the Lamanites did infest the land, insomuch that the inhabitants thereof began to hide up their treasures in the earth, and they became slippery because of the Lord. Because the Lord had cursed the land, that they could not hold them nor retain them. Oh man, that's what happens, you know, when you have treasures in the wrong place. And then verse 19, and it came to pass that there were sorceries and witchcrafts and magics, and the power of the evil one was wrought upon all the face of the land, even unto the fulfilling of all the words of Abinadi, and also Samuel the Lamanite. Okay, so that's the end of the chapter. Now, we read all that, but there was a lot of commentary that I didn't read, and I kind of skipped over it just for the sake of being able to read the whole thing. But I did want to say something about, and it came to pass that there were sorceries and witchcrafts and magics. Now, this being Halloween week, I know that there are some people who don't do Halloween, and for whatever reason, you know, but I think that there's, just like Satan can warp things, and this is just like a way that I've come to enjoy Halloween, right? So Satan likes to warp things of the Lord. Well, as you know, Christians and disciples of Christ ourselves, right? I'm not saying like I'm an apostle or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, you know, we all take on Christ's name when we get baptized. And so I like to typify things of Christ. Like, I think everything typifies of Christ. And so if you can, well, this is what I do. So I liken different things of Halloween to Christ. And for example, the lesson that I shared yesterday with Relief Society sisters, some quotes were, let me see if I can find some quotes on it, on what I did. Some quotes are like, shine bright in the shadows, you know, because it was about integrity. And so it's like, courage lights the darkness, and keep true beneath the mask. Stay true in haunted times. You know what I mean? And then like integrity, your unbreakable spell. So, and then temptations to betray your integrity will sneak up on you, right? Because like the whole ghost and boo and stuff. And so like, I love to bring Christ into everything that I do, and including Halloween. I'm trying to like now click things, including Halloween. And even though there might be, you know, pretending of sorceries and pretending of witchcrafts and pretending of magics, it's all like, it doesn't have to be all evil if you make it fun and bring Christ's light into the darkness, right? Like, that's what I love about how Jesus Christ comes to anything and brings light and life and joy, right? And like, think about Halloween. It's like the best opportunity to minister to your whole entire neighborhood children on one night. Like, why wouldn't you take advantage of this? Like, this is the best night for ministering that you could possibly have. Do you know how many neighbors I see that I don't see at church when Halloween happens? Exactly. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's the best. And so I feel sad when people are like, I hate Halloween, I don't do Halloween. And it's like, okay, I mean, all right, I'm going to give you that space, but like, you can think of it in a different way. It's basically just the story you tell yourself about Halloween. It helps to reframe what you believe, I guess. You don't have to let Satan own all those things. You don't have to give your power over to Satan about Halloween. You can take that power back and say, no, I'm going to make it fun for my kids. I'm going to talk about how Christ can light their path. And, all the kids wear, the little glow stick necklaces and all those things, And so I just had to put the plug out there for that. And, and minister to your neighbors. Say trick or treat. Hi, Sister Winegar. How are you doing? And I can ask these little kids the same thing. I was primary president for a couple years, and it was so great to see all my primary kiddos come. And then also I was young women's president, and it would be awesome to see the young women come and visit me. And, it's like, hey, so-and-so, you have the opportunity to call them by name, even when they're wearing their costume, and be like, I recognize you, like, what a fun opportunity. Anyways, like, that's my plug for that. But for the Book of Mormon, there's a quote here from Elder David A. Bednar. He says, please consider the significance of this important, and this is from the devotional, of this important spiritual gift. As used in the scriptures, the word observe, so this is he was quick to observe, has two primary uses. One use denotes to look or to see or to notice. As we learn in Isaiah 42:20, seeing many things, but thou observest not, opening the ears, but he heareth not. The second use of the word observe suggests to obey or to keep, as is evident in the Doctrine and Covenants. But blessed are they who have kept the covenant and observe the commandment, for they shall obtain mercy. Thus, when we are quick to observe, we promptly look or notice and obey. Both of these fundamental elements, looking and obeying, are essentially to being quick to observe. Oh, I love that so much. And the Prophet Mormon is an impressive example of this gift in action. Ooh, yes. So my challenge is, let's be like the Prophet Mormon and be quick to observe. And there's a talk by, can't remember what sister, but she's known for her first observe, then serve. So that's what you do after you've observed, you serve in the best way you know how, because of the gifts that you've been given. Okay, that is it for today. And until Mormon chapter 2, stay strong, warrior.